What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. We are live at the Hot Chick in Old Town, Scottsdale, Arizona. It's episode 697 of the O Show. We are brought to you by OSnap Active Lifestyle. I was telling Cody and Latha here that I had one of these bad boys, the Snurge and a Snap. Snap it, squeeze it, share it. You never snap alone over at OSnap, but I had to do burpees before an interview the other day because this thing had me so wired that I was just amped to the gills. But you can head on over to our website, osnap.com/Jack O'Hara, to get your free packets now. Try your free packets. You could also become an ambassador with us, with John and Najla Malat. osnap.com/Jack O'Hara to get yours today. Again, we are live at the Hot Chick here in Old Town, episode 697, with two very special friends of mine, Cody and Latha Starrett. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Jack, thank you. Thank you.
Funny, we were talking beforehand. You're from Boston. I'm from Jersey. We have the East Coast vibe thing going. It's always nice to meet someone from back East who kind of understands the go, go, go mentality of life, as opposed to just sitting back and being like, why are you so angry all the time?
Yeah, right.
But not.
Right.
I got to get things done. So you growing up in Boston, before we get into everything, obviously STK Steakhouse, we're talking ProteinHouse. The second I saw that, I'm like, I got to reach out to these people. Growing up in Boston and then the transition out here, how did that all come about? Because for me, like, it was like warm weather, Christianity, everything.
Same. That was kind of our same timeline. It was born and raised in Boston, and went to prep school back there. So it was, achieved the honorable and the whole dress code. And we just wanted to pivot. And yes, weather was a big denominator, but you have that like you said, that mentality. We hustle back east, right? And so to that note, Boston Celtics, Boston Bruins, New England Patriots, and to that note, we don't quiver. We baptized our kids into that same denominator.
Title town, right? You guys had it lucky.
We had a kid. I said to my son the other day, I said Carson, we have tickets to the Celtics Game 5, and he says, what tickets? Like we ain't going to Game 5. So good Lord willing, they've never been to a Boston arena, so hopefully they win.
TD Garden, like, arenas are all the same, right? You go to Footprint here, you go to what was Staples Center, now Crypto out in LA. T-Mobile Arena's new, so it's cool out in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
MGM was always special. I grew up with Madison Square Garden, so like just the aura of that was cool. But arenas are arenas. They're all kind of the same. TD Garden, I never went to Boston Garden, but TD Garden's a pretty cool place.
Well, I haven't been yet.
They have a lot of cool stuff.
So selfishly, yeah.
You guys will have fun as long as they win a game.
Right.
Go to Game 5, right?
Well, that's being said. There's Yankee and then there's Red Sox too. So
honestly, I have a lot of family from Boston, Holliston, Massachusetts, which I believe is like 40 minutes south of Boston. But I was telling you, I'm going to Fenway next month. I have a few friends who work with Nesson, so I'm go into the broadcast booth, do the whole ordeal, go to the game.
Awesome.
Because Yankees, Red Sox, that atmosphere, it doesn't matter if it's April or October.
Yeah, but I love it when we're both good. Like,
we're both bad now, so it's just going to be relaxed. Right. Nobody's really going to care.
Right. So, from that note, I went to University of Arizona.
That's right. Communications.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then post U of A, they were building freeways and hospitals in Vegas. So I'm like, moving to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in Vegas for 22 years. And that's where I met my lovely wife. And we're coming up on 15 years of marriage. And to that note, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
Much like the business, my family, our family is first and foremost. And I don't make decisions without, Latha steering the ship, right?
Of course. Like you said before we went on air, like, I'm not going to win half the arguments, like,
lose the battle, win the war.
Right? Lose the battle, win the war. Yeah. So talk to me about, obviously, you guys first meeting, kind of developing a relationship, and then kind of putting the pieces together of what you wanted your life to look like. Because I always love interviewing couples who are both, entrepreneurial and driven, right? Because you plan out the 5 to 10 year plan, as opposed to people who are just like, well, we're going to see where it goes. I kind of like her. It's great.
Yeah.
But like, you actually have to have a set intentional plan in order to actually have a future that is going to be fulfilling day in and day out, because if it's not, marriage is difficult, right? Like, how did you guys kind of go about that starting out?
There's no script to that. As much as you say we have a plan and this and that, it's at the end of the day, it comes from within.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, I've made mistakes, right? And to that note, my wife's been forgiving on that, you know? And we've grown from our mistakes.
A lot of communication and a lot of understanding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, you know, our rise to move to Scottsdale and open up these great brands, you know, we had some construction and some real estate experience. We built medical office buildings back in the early 2000s when the market was robust and you could buy a piece of dirt and make a site plan and you were sold out before you broke ground. Those days are a little bit behind us. But on those same timelines, you know, we work around the clock. I was driving down Las Vegas Boulevard one day and I saw this moniker on the side that said Dre's. And I was like, I remember that place. It was, Victor had a restaurant on La Cienega and Melrose back in the late 90s, for that matter. And it was star-studded. And so when I saw his brand come to market, I went in immediately and I introduced myself. And he said in his French accent, I'm going to open up. And after hours, I was like, I'm in. And I had no idea what it looked like. And this was kind of, you know, pre-big hotel, casino, nightlife in 2000. And he opened this, you know, 25, he said 23-year plus landmark, and it was Dre's After Hours. And for us, it was never about that $100 tip out or, you know, shaking somebody down. It was about the relationships that we built. And I remember I'm not going to name drop, but there were some huge players in the market that would come in and I'd introduce them and say, oh, I'm going to open up this venue at such and such hotel and I'm going to open up this. And I was like, great. And now these guys are the leaders in the market. So I would tell you that the denominator of the nightlife really spawned from Dre's and then that after hour arena. But looking back, it was never, as I said, it wasn't about the overall sales that we generated. It was the mass of peoples that we met. And so from Dre's, I moved into when we opened up Pure nightclub at Caesar's Palace. And again, same thing, cultivating a customer and creating that long-term value of not just a customer, but friends of ours to this day. And then from Pure nightclub, I opened up Hakkasan.
Yeah.
Hakkasan was great. I mean, it was actually 10 years to the date last month. And again, it was if you were coming into the venue and you're going to spend $1,000, $3,000, $10,000, whatever enormous amounts of monies to sit at a table in a nightclub, I would always say, let's go to dinner. Let's set the night up. Let's take you out. And I would take them. One of our favorite spots was STK. We'd walk in 100 covers a week. So and so to that note, it just happened to come around where we wanted to expand our brand and I wanted to get out of the nightclub space. And I was introduced to the founder of the One Group at STK. And I said, I'm your biggest customer. I'm here every week with a ton of persons. I said, license me this deal. And life is seconds and inches sometimes. And he said, okay. And he was looking into the new market of Scottsdale. And I think that's how STK Scottsdale was spawned, really. It just so happened. And we opened, I said to my wife, I said, well, if we're going to open up a facility, we have to be there. You have to be present. And truthfully, it came down to a decision to make for our family.
Hesitate. Let's go.
Yeah.
Pack our stuff. We're ready.
Yeah. So we packed our bags, and it was 3 years ago, May 15th.
2020, the middle of COVID.
Yep. 3 years ago, we legitimately were driving across the desert with a set of construction plans to finish out the space. We opened January of 2021. And graciously, we are the top performing STK in the portfolio.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You guys are in a great spot.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Here's a true story. Here's a true story. So we were exploring different sites and I got a call and I said, well, let's go look at this location. It was at 10 o'clock at night. My partner calls me. And he's like, come on, let's drive out. Let's go look at it. I said, okay. So we drove across the desert from Vegas and we went and looked at the location over here on Stetson. And the main floor, the second story was available. And I says, it's a great space. I love it. We'd love to do an STK here. But I really want the third story, the rooftop area with the patio. He says, well, it's not available. And I put my hand out. I was going to shake his hand. I said, well, thank you for your time. I'm going to go back to Vegas. I don't think STK is going to work. And I legitimately turned. He says, well, no, wait. I won't name the name of the other place that was available on the third story of 7134 East Denton Drive. You can Google it. But we were fortunate enough to go in and take that space.
Yeah.
And in opening STK, we were cognizant of how we wanted the rooftop to look. So we took our time and we developed it. We just opened up this past Super Bowl.
Yes. Right on time.
Right.
Oh yeah, perfect time. Waste management, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Everyone's in town.
Yeah. So that was pretty unique for us. And again, we're gracious.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, to come to market, you know, one of the things we wanted to make is you have to become Scottsdale. You can't live in another state and try to become and knowing all the different venues out here.
Yeah.
So that was a big decision for us to make for the family and obviously for the business. So that's the true story behind STK. And
Yeah.
you know, we're excited. It's a fun vibe restaurant.
Absolutely.
The next podcast we'll take from the rooftop.
That's what I mean,
You're a
I
steak
told you I used to eat at Longhorn Steakhouse twice a week. I have a funny story about one time I pulled up to the steakhouse. At this point in college, they have my own booth. All the waiters and waitresses know who I am. The manager always comes over, talks to me. There was one night Post Malone had he was headlining a festival there, and he was waiting. Like there's like all these Chevy Tahoes, all these security guards there, and I walked in. I'm like, there's got to be someone important in here, and I'm like a rock and roll guy. You know, like I'm not a huge rap guy, but I knew who he was. And I walk in, I'm like, oh, wow, that's Post Malone, like waiting for a table. And the manager saw me from across the room and was like, Jack's here, guys, go get Jack his phone, go get it. So they sat me before Post Malone, and Post Malone turned to his security guard. He's like, who the F is that?
Right.
You know, I'm just like, oh. He was like the #1 rap star at the time, too. I'm like, this is big. That's what relationships do, though.
Yeah.
People take, you know, you take care of your customers. There's probably certain people you see all the time, too, right? You know, when you build those relationships, you take care of those people.
You know, to that note, too, it's the relationship, and we go up, and we're there on the weekends, and we're there quite frequently. But it's not just taking care of the customers. And this is a true story. Saturday night, we were up there. We were visiting with some of our friends and customers. We wanted to go and say hello and thank them.
Mm-hmm.
But truthfully, it's the employees.
Yeah.
So in between saying hello to some of our customers, my wife comes from behind. She was in the kitchen, and so I'll let you segue into that. We don't just show up to the VIPs and our friends and customers and say hello.
Well, sometime when we're short-staffed, that night happens, we're short-staffed. So it's like, hey, come in the kitchen, help us. I'm like, why not? Well, what do you need? Whatever you need. I end up polishing the dishes.
Mm-hmm. So she's polishing the silverware. She's shucking the oysters before
My
they go
5
out.
inches high heels.
Right? Mm-hmm. Right, but that's
I
what
don't
takes.
mind. I love it. I love what we're very grateful and blessed to have what we have. Just for me to do that little touch basis, it means so much.
Yeah.
I mean, you're never going to be too good or above anybody. No. If your employee needs help, be there.
Yeah.
We all know how to do dishes, too. It's not like, I have no idea what to do. You guys take care of that. You know, it's like, no, we all
I'm
know how
willing
to
to jump
do
in
that.
and
No,
learn.
she'll
I'll
jump in.
scrub in, absolutely.
She'll scrub in, right? She'll
I'll be like, whatever you need, let's go.
So my wife also does some of the content.
Yeah.
You know, it's more than just taking a picture of steak. You know, we'll capture some of the vibe. And, you know, and I think that's how we want to come across. So my wife's responsible for a lot of that content and, you know, kind of driving new eyeballs and to that nature.
What's your take on social media as a whole? Because it's obviously evolving and evolving and evolving, like Instagram and TikTok Reels specifically. Because Instagram was just pictures, right? Now all of a sudden Reels are like that took over.
Absolutely. Reel is more fun. You know, you have probably less than 9 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And you better, like, it's more fun because it's fast. People don't have that much patience. And you have to make it fun, straight to the point.
Yep.
Show what you wanted to show out there. And I love it, honestly. I feel like Facebook, it's different. It's
it hasn't
It's
adapted.
just different now. TikToks and Instagram's taken over so much. And you can push it to wherever you want. You have interview people, content, or just it's just fun.
Yeah, and you, like, to your credit, you feel the vibe with reels. Where pictures, you can make them look any which way, and people can interpret them any which way. And then when you meet them in person, you're like, oh, that's nothing what I expected them to be like. Where with reels, you can actually talk, you can share your message,
With
share
the
your
vibes,
experiences,
with the food, it
and
looks so good and
people are like
alive,
invited
yes.
into what you're actually like.
Absolutely.
I think what Latha's done pretty uniquely is she'll take a picture of, like, for instance, the other night she's taking a picture of just scanning the fire.
Yep.
The fire pit has nothing to do with food, but you capture that 9-second window. It's like, wait a minute, there's a fire pit on an outside on a night like this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more than, yes, you have to lead with your food, but I think my wife's done a great job of really capturing the next iteration. And so, it's been that, she's got that keen eye, and I say this respectfully, she knows what the females want to see, right? And I think that's a driver, right? And so she's got that creative eye.
Oh,
for
yeah.
that.
And it's tough, too, to know what everyone, like, what your audience wants to see. Because you'll know what doesn't work and what does work. Like, I do with all my reels all the time. Like, that one got 200,000 views. That one got 200 views. Okay, we did something wrong there. What can we take from this video and bring it over here,
Yeah, but that algorithm is off by a little bit sometimes. Like, she'll do this amazing piece. They're like, wait a minute, where is all the visibility? So we're trying to get it back to
when you work really hard on a reel, too, and it just doesn't
You
get the
spend
engagement.
hours and hours on it, and suddenly you're like, wait, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Code, why is
You look back,
why is this blowing up, right?
and then the ones that typically blow up are the ones that you kind of just throw out there. You're like,
Absolutely,
yeah, we
just
need to get
basic and
content out.
simple. Yep.
You're like, this is my best representation, I guess.
Right.
This is what people want to see.
And I'm just gonna go follow with the trends.
Mm-hmm. So what about ProteinHouse?
ProteinHouse was the corporate stores are in Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously our ties to Vegas. Ownership reached out to us. They knew that we had relocated, and again, seconds and inches, right? I got a phone call from the founder, and he said, "There's an opportunity. We know you're in Vegas, and you want to buy the Gilbert store. Gilbert, we have 3 locations in the Valley. ProteinHouse is a healthy, fast casual, more catered towards a different check average. It's not that high volume of STK.
Yeah.
It's, again, a healthy, fast casual, and it's really come to market in Maricopa in the city. And we had an opportunity, and we purchased the Gilbert store last fall, 2 falls ago, so 2 years ago. And
we just recently bought 2 more back in November.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So now we own all of the locations of Protein.
Across the valley.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
be it Scottsdale, Arcadia, and in Gilbert. And when I say that one's more hands on the wheel, it's
I believe it.
literally more hands on the wheel.
Absolutely. We do whatever it takes. We actually pretend to be not pretend, but we do Uber Eats as ourselves.
Right. You
We're
deliver.
delivering the food, make sure it's perfect.
A lot of our customers, there's a big delivery space and the catering, and if it means that we have to go do the delivery, I mean, again, that's what it takes. As much as you scale into these ownership positions, you grab the wheel.
Yeah.
You do the deliveries. You polish the silverware. There's no real trade secret, and I think using my theme, there's no trade secret but hard work. And I think maybe that comes from our East Coast.
Maybe.
Like, you grind, you work.
Any part of that do you feel like is like the micromanager in you too, knowing like, okay, if I want a job done right, I should do it myself?
Yeah, I would say that's a good question. Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I feel as though,
Because you want to lead by example too, but at the same time, you're probably itching, being like, all right, go, go, go. Let's get it
a
done.
colleague of mine said that same thing. I like to have, at STK, it's eyes on, hands off,
Mm-hmm.
right? I see everything, we structure it, we put it together, but I'm not denominating on how to do this or how to do that. We help out and we support. And to that note too, it goes back to the employees. They are our biggest foundation. So I'm not the one to tell them how to do it, where to do it. We assist, but we let them do their job. Yes, I want to go in and help, but sometimes it can be a hindrance. So having a great staff, and we're up to 300 employees now, I take that as a compliment because I want that culture. And a lot of times, you have everybody help wanted and we need more. I say this graciously, we have resumes that are holding right now.
Mm-hmm.
like we have, even though, there's some people that call out sick and this and that, sometimes we have a shortage, but our staffing is on par with where we need to be. And that goes to how our culture is set.
Yeah.
The stores.
We couldn't have done it without them. We have
Yeah.
great managers that would train people, our employees, everything go do the right way. But sometimes when short staff, I will jump in when I'm flipping the burgers or doing meal preps, whatever it takes. I'll be there.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, like how to do it, so it's like you're gonna get the job done.
Yep.
And it's kind of like Instagram Reels, where it's like you have all of these different outliers where it's like, okay, I need to listen to my audience, I need to listen to my workers, I need to listen to my, because like the micromanager in you might tell you like, this is how I want it done. Like, oh, can I help you out with that? But you're right, you need to take a step back, let them do it, because they're gonna have a fresh perspective on things, where it's like you only have one vision on things. Your audience and your customers and your employees are going to have a different outtake on things. They might be better, the idea that you have.
And we do listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
We do. And then we share opinions. How, hey, they're serving there. They're like, hey, I like it this way. What do you think? And we're like, okay, let's add that and to see what what it tastes like. We'll see what the customer thinks. And if it's good, it sells. Why not? We'll put it out there. If it's not, hey, we can take it back and grill it back a little.
And to that note too, we don't live under that, that type of pressure where it's okay to make a mistake.
Yeah.
I've made mistakes, so I don't want the staff to be like overwhelmed if they make a mistake. I make 100 decisions a day. 51 are right. It's a good day. So having that, as I say, culture, I want them to, again, we're all there to make money and the revenue piece besides it, but I don't want them to be overwhelmed if I make a mistake at the end of the world. So I've really set that canvas where, of course,
like communication is key. I'm sure you two have different disciplinarian styles, whether it's at work or maybe even at home with the kids. Like, how do you guys balance all of that?
Old school.
Yeah.
Old school, right?
Well, family first, of course. And then we always said, we don't want to miss us because they're the reason they're here. So don't forget about us, meaning that we always going to try to have date nights. So that way we don't lose that. It's kind of fade away if you don't have your date nights. I mean, even though we've been married for 15 years, you can't forget that part.
Yeah. And, to that note too, we do this for our children as well. We wake up, we go to work and we grind. And I ask my wife sometimes, like, are we giving them too much?
Yeah.
Like if they want it, they get it.
No, actually, we don't spoil our kids. They work for it.
Yeah, they do.
Because I'm originally from Cambodia.
Yep.
I'm born in the jungle. We walked. We made it through. We got to a refugee camp on time, where they start turning that 100,000 people away, and they let us in. And it was a huge miracle, I would say.
Yeah, that's an amazing story.
That's the reason why I don't spoil my kids. I don't believe spoiling them.
Oh, no.
They have to work for it.
You give them certain tasks throughout the day, the weeks. If they ask for something, like, great, like that's a goal of yours. You want that? Great. Do this, that, and that, and then maybe you can have that.
Absolutely.
Like, talk about, obviously growing up in Cambodia and going through those experiences. I'm sure you starting out before you had like any money, trying to accomplish things. It's difficult, right? Like, I was there starting out with this, where I did this for free, like the first 3 years that I did it growing out, just meeting all these different people. Talk about like the certain grit and determination factors that you guys had to go through individually.
A lot of obstacles, yes.
I'll let my wife speak to it, but again, she was born in a concentration camp.
No, I was born in the jungle.
In the jungle, but nonetheless, her rise from that, and there's nothing that my wife can overcome, and she's passed along that type of thesis to me. I mean, again, my hardships, who cares? I worked on a construction job in Boston. I had a callus. That doesn't matter. That dwarfs in comparison. So for me to say, oh, I had it hard, what are you talking about? You had it hard. So there's no
So
one
we make
that...
a joke out of it. When people ask you, where do you get met? How do you, I would say, oh, you heard a show, 90 Day Fiancé?
No.
Edit
that. That never happened.
We all make it a joke because of our story is so different, and I don't want to be like, oh, here it is, my sad story where I came from. We just make it, fun.
I'd say it's not a sad story. It's an uplifting story.
Oh,
right.
Of course, but if
no.
you've been through what I've been through and it's not fun to actually like look back. Some people don't even bring it up because it's hard.
Of course,
So I made a joke out of it. Hey, I'm married for a citizenship and stuff like that.
There we go. It's on the record now, right?
Some people get the joke. Other people are like, oh, cool.
It's funny. It's just funny. That's all.
But at this stage of our lives and our career, I mean, I'm very big on female empowerment.
Yeah.
Right. And as much as I've been somewhat in the spotlight, I couldn't have done it without my wife. I like to say she's held the ladder while I've climbed it. Yeah, it's a teamwork, and that that proliferates from the business, but it starts at the home and.
But she's raising 5 children and work, so we balance pretty well.
Yeah, but that's the way we want it. You wake up and chaos is part of the deal, right? You wake up, you get the kids to school, you run. We've afforded a lifestyle where, I can take my children to school, and I do make time to. Pick them up, and I make time for my family. But on that note, if the phone rings at 9 o'clock at night and there's an issue at any one of the restaurants we pick up the phone as well. I think the one pseudo success is we've created that type of career and lifestyle where our family denomination, I can always tell you at 8:15 every morning, I'm dropping the kids off. And at 3:15, we were collectively picking them up. So I schedule my meetings and call times around that. But I know where I'll be, and I know that I have to carve out that time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean when the phone rings, you got to take it. Like a lot of time, I might be picking up the kids. I got to take this call. Like, kids, shut up. I got to take the call. So, but again, it wasn't always that way.
Oh, of course.
Multitasking, we don't know which hat we're putting on that day, but
that's the fun part too, right? That's the fun part.
Oh yeah.
They keep us busy. We're very grateful about it.
I feel like you have to go through those experiences too, where it's just like, oh, that can't happen again, and then you're like, okay, you adapt to it, and then the more and more you do, the more discipline and the more tolerable it becomes.
It became normal, yes.
Yeah.
It became normal. Like my daughter, she would have like 3 hours of tumbling a day and then 1 hour of wood tie. So it's like 4 hours of my day carved up. That's before homework, dinner.
P.S. She's 7.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, babe, wait a minute, 3 hours. So.
And he's with Carson the whole time.
Yeah. We become like soccer parents is one word. I used to play, but I don't want to be that guy.
Oh yeah.
All of a sudden, I became that guy. I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. Right? So
that's my biggest fear.
Right? Oh, it's coming. It's coming. You've got that East Coast thing. You're gonna be yelling at your kid
on the bleachers,
right?
You're dipping your shoulder. Sorry.
So,
Yeah,
that's great.
I mean, you guys ever forget to pick up your kids from school?
No.
Has that ever happened?
No, we communicate.
Unless this runs late, we gotta.
He's like, babe, I have a meeting. I'm running late. I'll be there.
Right.
My parents cannot say the same thing.
But it made you great, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, we still have some. I see that you also do your podcast in Vegas
all the time.
Deep ties.
You guys,
in Vegas.
22 years, you said?
Yep.
22 years. You were a bottle girl, right?
Yes, I was.
We can cut this out. I don't know if you want,
right?
But we never really confirmed if you wanted to talk about it beforehand. But it's interesting because here in Scottsdale, bottle girls all over the place. All right.
Can I start with her night number 1?
Yeah, sure.
So first night, and maybe you can fill in the back.
Night you guys met.
No, New Year's Eve. It was New Year's Eve, and who was it?
50 cents.
50 Cent. So it was like
Out
this
patios.
packed. So Pure Nightclub, which is now Omni Nightclub. Pure Nightclub, 50-yard line of the Strip, and fireworks are about to go off, and if capacity was an understatement, right? And she's starting, and there's 50 Cent, and so that was her first night of baptized into the nightlife. And she crushed it, right? So we had fun with it. It was Vegas. Again, we saw it go from an after hours to a $500 million industry.
Mm-hmm.
And those prices, I saw a screenshot of EDC weekend prices. I think it was like $300,000 bar tab. And so, but we're back. We like to go back and see our friends, and my wife has a penchant for playing every now and then. So we go back and we have fun.
It's in my DNA.
Right?
What I
Of
say,
course.
right? I'm
Right.
Asian.
Right?
You got to go back, have some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Vegas for me, because it's a 4-hour drive there and back. I'm there almost every weekend recording
Yeah.
and shooting and working. But then, like, people will take us out to dinner. You find all these cool spots. Like, you talk about, like, some underground spots. You're like,
Yeah.
I didn't know this existed.
Yeah. Love it.
It's such a cool environment. But it's also got to be difficult to be in that almost every night when you are working it and building relationships and taking people out. And it's like you kind of get lost in it. You have to, like, really check yourself, I feel like.
That's a great
You have to be
point.
mentally and physically prepared because it is tough.
Yeah.
It became normal though. I think I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like anything else. It's not overwhelming anymore. It's like, oh, I'm just walking in, like walking in here. It's like, oh, I'm walking in my living room.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say that too, because I would take if I see a group of resumes, and if somebody comes from a hosting position or in that nightlife, that hospitality space in Vegas, I can see an Ivy League guy or a guy with some experience through Vegas. I go with the Vegas guy.
Mm-hmm.
They some of
work
them.
with all types of people, day in, day out, night in, night out.
Yeah.
You don't know what kind of people are walking in. You don't know what kind of moods they're going to be in.
But
Who's just getting intoxicated.
Be on your toe, be ready.
If you're good inside of a 5-minute window, you can qualify them pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I'm one of those guys, like, not school smart at all. You know, I have buddies who, like, went to the Harvards and the Princetons, and it's like, great, good for you. I knew right away. I'm like, well, I know I can build my own stuff. Like,
Yep.
as long as I'm good with people, I have the grit and, again, the tenacity and charisma to get along with people and know what makes them tick, what triggers them, what, you know, because you have to go through that. You probably know it coming in, like, okay, he's about to snap. I need to make this move right here. And then
Yes.
it's like a game of chess.
That's a very good point. But there's also, you know, and it's worked for me, it's worked for us. There's a customer flow where sometimes you don't need to beat that guy up. That's not really the end play. It's cultivating that relationship. No, don't beat him over the head for once.
Mm-hmm.
Create that relationship and you have a customer for life. And I say that respectfully. I think that's a lost art. I think that it's because the volume and the revenue is such a denominator to push that they lose sight of that. Don't beat a guy up for $300,000.
Yeah.
He'll remember it on Wednesday when he gets his receipt. Like, why did I do that? I'm never going back again. Don't do that. And again, I'm not the example, but for me, it was the marathon. It was never don't club them. Keep that. So in that, if you tap into that hospitality viewership, I mean, that's worked for me. Cultivate the relationship.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the $100 tip. Matter of fact, say no the next time he wants to give you a tip. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
That will go much further. He'll lock your number in. I can't tell you how many times. I mean, to this day, I didn't need that. Don't worry about it. Next time. Some other time. So for us, we've reached that level of trust where our referral in our relationship business 10x's that ever $100 tip because he just told 10 of his friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, that's kind of the matriculation of somewhat of our success.
When did you adapt that mindset? Like, what was it always that way for you and it kind of just worked? Or were there times, obviously early on, where like you were trying things that weren't working, trial and error, failing, falling flat on your face in certain things, and then all of a sudden you're like, it shouldn't be this difficult.
That's a great
And then all of a sudden, like, the passion of just building those relationships took over, and then everything else kind of fell into place.
That's a great question. And I remember there were nights where at any one of the locations, I mean, you can pick it, be it Dre's or Pure or Hakkasan, where I didn't get a chip out or I didn't get but I left with three to five really good contacts and business cards. And I remember them. And a simple art of following up and just saying, thank you. Hey, thanks for coming in. I appreciate that. It's funny you say that too, because I clearly remember I didn't make any money tonight, but I left with great contacts until this day.
Yeah, that's good.
And to that note, it's the envelope of coming in is a tenfold of business. So maybe that's a message that there's no trade secret to that, but don't beat someone up.
Yeah.
Create the relationship. It'll pay forward.
Mm-hmm. I mean, burning bridges doesn't get anybody anywhere. It just creates
The
resentment too, you know?
The shakedown.
No.
You know, mind you, we can take money anywhere, anytime, any place.
Yeah.
Because these kids are good. But don't. That's not the way to the. It's short. That's a short game. Yeah, the reputation piece.
It's a small world.
Oh, it is. And when you figure that out, you're like, oh, I should probably.
We don't want to mess with karma.
Yeah.
No.
Because it is a real thing. You can go back and forth all you want about karma, about anything, really. You know, it's
100%.
real. It comes back. You don't believe it until something happens. And you're like, is that karma?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting getting to hear your guys' story about this too, because now with 5 kids, it's like you don't want to like force them into doing things, right? They're going to do their own thing, but at the same time, you want to mold that, like that mentality of just like when life gets hard, think about the long term. Don't think about stuff in the moment that's happening, right?
100%. 100%. You know, that's, you know, the young ones, be it 7, 12, 19, 26, 27, each one of them are going down their own path. And for us, we support them. Right? Sometimes working for the family business isn't really cut out for everybody, right? Yeah. Working for me sucks.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
Mom, really? Do I have to do this?
Yeah, we're tough. But if we do it, expect them to do it. But truthfully, each one of them are their own individuals, and we support that. Right?
Yes, whatever they want.
Like for you guys, having the family business, that was like, I feel like always an option for them. And maybe they really wanted it. Maybe then they didn't want it. But like, if they didn't want that and they were going after some like, thanks, but no thanks, I want to quote unquote earn it on my own. Because like, even if it isn't that way, like they're working really hard.
Their dreams regardless.
Yeah, like they're working really hard, but at the same time, there's that stigma like, oh, you're working for your parents, you're probably doing it all, you know? Like I have friends like that where it's like that stigma's just there. And it's like, no, I want to prove that.
It's funny you say that too.
We have our 20-year-old daughter, Ariana. She's running our store right now, and she's great. She's so helpful, and we love her.
We walk in the store, it's kind of like we want to be careful not to do anything wrong. Sorry,
but like
boss.
we're in the way because she's so good what she does.
Yeah.
So we love her so much for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and to that note too, she says, "Hey, Dad, keep it low key. I don't want everybody to know that you're my dad." Yes. But you know, so when I walk in, I'm just like, "Hi, sorry, I'll go over here." Like, but you know, again, it's a massive joy for us. Whatever career that they choose, you know, we're gracious in what they want to do.
Yeah. So there hasn't been one career where they were just like, I want to do this, and you were like, no. Or it's like, oh, cool, but it's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second?
So not yet. Yeah, I got 2 more coming up the ranks. So, you know, again, it's a support.
Yeah.
You know, we guide them and we support them, but we don't steer them.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of our.
You can't control it, or else you become that East Coast bitter.
We don't want to force them. That's the thing. But we try to understand.
Sure.
Sit there and listen. It's tough, trust me.
Well, I feel like because everybody's all over the place too, and what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, especially with 5 kids. It's like are any of them similar, or are they all kind of independent, their own thing?
The age range is from the oldest is 27, and I have the youngest 7 years old.
Yeah. So it's like that's tough too, because it's like a 20-year difference. It's kind of tough to have that sibling relationship.
It is, but
at least starting out.
It's almost like a built-in babysitter because they love their siblings so much. And I was like, hey, I had to go out with Dad to go check in the restaurant at night at STK. They're like, don't worry, Mom, I got them. And pretty much, I felt like the younger ones are watching the older ones because the older one could just sleep, and they're like, hey, there's Melania, she's 7 years old. Can you give me a bottle of water? And she will run downstairs, get them the water. Is that, you know?
Well, that's the funny, and I'm speaking from literally no experience with kids, but the youngest, I feel like, is always the smartest. Always the most resilient.
She thinks she's the smartest, right?
She would bully the older kids around. Yes.
Like the most resilient, though. Like, oh, I'll go down and make breakfast myself. You know, everybody else is kind of busy.
Not to mention, she's taking she's taking Muay Thai lesson, and she would whoop the older ones. But
you know, you say 5 kids, it's a lot for us. It's normal.
It is.
It's normal. I don't see it as like, oh, it's a big. If it's just 1 or 2 of them, if they're sleeping over or they're out, it seems weird to us.
Really?
Right? So it's a built-in mantra for us to have that family. You know,
we love big family. I always wanted a big family.
Yeah. So there you go, big family.
No, I mean, I remember thinking like when I was really young, I wanted like 7 or 8 kids. My dad's just like laughing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Talk to me in 20 years.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh,
We'll see.
yeah.
We'll see. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I'm one of 3, and we're just like we're back to back to back too.
Uh-huh.
So it's like when we were all toddlers, I'm sure it was hell. Like we just raised hell.
We could have. I mean, we could do a whole segment on how to raise them, but it was 3 a.m. It was just like, here, baby, feed the baby, right?
Well, it's as a mother, I wish they come up with the manuals.
Right.
They don't come with the manuals. I'm like, what page are we doing? 18, honey? Okay, go page 18. We can fix this.
Yeah.
Hurry.
All you can take is like other people's experiences, which could be completely different from yours, and be like, oh, just hang in there. This is normal.
And then, I hear people be like, oh my God, I would put babies. The babies sleep all night. I'm like, how? Mine wake up every 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I think those days are behind us. Though.
Yes.
I mean, we're behind
We're
us.
done.
Matter of fact,
Our factory's closed.
For the record, my wife says, I want 2 more than I said, no, you don't. No, you don't. We forgot what it felt like.
Yeah.
No, I'm in my 40s now. There's no more.
Okay.
Like that's an emotional decision. Sleep on it, wake up in the morning. No, I don't want them.
No, I love kids.
So, that's us, I mean, between the kids and the restaurants and the employees, Vegas to Scottsdale, it's, as she said, there's no playbook, be it raising kids or running businesses.
Yeah.
It's trial and error. You make mistakes, you fix it, you move on.
Yeah. You have to learn from it.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Because if you make that same mistake 3 or 4 times, you're thinking like, okay, I'm just not paying attention.
Twice, and then I get to, then you figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, I did that before.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So again, but it's a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
I look back at the things that my thought process 6, 8, 10, 12 years ago to now. I'm glad of where I am. As I said, I'll be 52 next month. I said 52 is better than 42.
52 is the new 42.
42 is better than 32. But the question my wife says, she goes, but is 62 going to be better than 50?
Yeah.
You're like, this might be the top of the.
That's where it's.
That's
to
not
like
that. So I hope that's not true. But I age to us is a badge, right? I don't look at it like, I'm 52. I feel better in our between our strengths of our family and our business. I'm blessed. Blessed.
Now, you guys said earlier when you guys got here and you were kind of building the community with STK and everything, you said that you had to be Scottsdale. You couldn't just like be anywhere and just be around and say, this is how it's going to work. You actually had to know the environment. You had to be it. When you were in Vegas, obviously building all these relationships, you come here. Did you guys get to do a lot of traveling and see these different cultures of how things are run? Whether it be the nightlife or anything else?
Yes.
Yeah, good point to that. And if I'll start, Scottsdale is a similar market to Vegas in some ways, not by climate, and similar but different. But one of the keynotes that I like to say is when we had a fiduciary responsibility when we put this project together, but I thought it was important to become part of the community. And to that note, as we were opening up STK, I wanted to go out and introduce myself to some of the other, I like to say that the guys that set the watermark for hospitality and for great restaurants. And I was introduced to Mike Mastro, and I went in at Mastro's, and I said, one night I'll get him, one night you'll get him. You're the brand standard, and
It's a win-win.
We laughed and we joked, but if you think about it, 3 years ago, there was no token, there was no maple. 44 hadn't opened yet. Nobu wasn't here. STK wasn't here. And to that note, it was when you have persons deciding, and be it East Coast or New York, Chicago, like they have choices of where they can go. Well, why not Scottsdale, right? And I mean, through COVID, it's a whole different conversation. But Arizona, we were more liberalized in terms of people coming in without all the restrictions back then.
Yeah.
But really, when people have a choice, of our East Coast customers have a choice, they can go to Miami, they can go to Vegas, they can go elsewhere. But all of a sudden, you've seen this denominator of Scottsdale. Really, you've got the fun restaurants, you've got the great nightlife. Mm-hmm. So I really think that it's coming up, and so that was an important piece. We couldn't just tout it, so we made the decision of Vegas for 22 years. Okay, we're moving. Mm-hmm. And it was almost, as I said, 3 years to the day we had legitimately a set of construction plans, and now it's 300 employees, and so
It's still counting.
Yeah, it's still growing.
Yeah. So again, you have to become part of the fabric of the town.
And again, 4.5 hours, I want to say, that drive from here to Vegas.
That's going 90. I do it in 5.5, right?
I get pulled over every single time I drive back.
I'm the guy that follows you. Okay, he's going 90. I'll follow him at 75. But yeah, the commute's not that bad. We do it with our eyes closed. Single lane freeways will freak me out a little bit though, right? There's that stretch between such and such.
Try making that drive at late at night too, where I'm like,
decisions.
Yeah.
Right? After a weekend in Vegas, that's white knuckles, right? I've seen that. I've been there, right?
Who's your guys' either worst customer experience that you've experienced, whether it be here or back in the day in Vegas?
Oh God, worst?
One of them. Like you have like an absurd.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you a good one. So obviously, there's a keen eye on there. We always used to get these undercovers, right? And again, I get it. I'm the old guy. I was the old guy in the group, and I remember this guy comes up and he calls me from some area code. I think it was, I forget the area code that he called for me, but I knew theoretically it was Chicago, right? 630. I knew area codes because I get the inbounds, so I knew who this guy was, where he was calling from. And when I talk to a new customer, I can queue you up pretty quickly. Great, where are you from? What are you doing? So your reservation's set. It's 10 o'clock. It's 10:30, whatever it was. And he was the first guy in line. I hung up the phone. So he's the first guy in line that night of. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm talking to him and I quiz him a little bit. I said, oh, you're from Chicago. And so I quizzed him on city A of wherever he was, and he didn't know the answer. He said, oh, so what line of work are you in? Conversations. Oh, I'm in such and such. And you don't know so-and-so? So like he was slipping up on these. This sounds weird. Long story short, he gets into the restaurant. He gets into the nightclub. Hey, can you hook me up with X, Y, or Z? And I'm like, oh, this guy's right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Who was my worst customer? I knew right off the bat, like queuing him up. Worst customer. And then I was just like, oh, this guy. So yes, I've seen them all. Celebrities are great. Some are better than others. I'm not going to name drop who we like. Yeah. Seems like the more wealth they get to and more celebritant, the more difficult they come. My wife could speak to that without, bleeping it out.
Of course, I don't want to say no names, but
the marriage proposals for her have come across, right? Hey, marry me, right? Type thing. But yeah,
really?
Well, to that note.
Yes, I'm not going to mention the names. Some will be like, oh, the room temperature has to be right, or I won't be performing that night.
The riders, so the rider requests.
And then you've got the ones so sweet, genuinely amazing.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, I can't believe this person's actually
that easy. Because you're anxious going into it. You're like, I don't know what they're going to be like.
Of course.
I walk into interviews all the time, and I'm like, I have no idea what this person's going to be like. Because I've had experiences where they were awful, and I've had experience where they were pleasantly surprising when you think they're probably going to be a little.
One of our best.
I had one celebrity is there with their paparazzi and everything, and I don't mind, because there's time there like they don't have to tip because we pay for the performance. The club will help it, but whatever it is. But the way they speak to the waitress below them and it belittled me, make me cry. I thought I had thick skin, going in, but you never know what you have or get that night. But then you have others like. Genuine, like, wow, I wish, wow, I want that, like, that's my idol. My girl, I want to be that person, such and such. It's amazing.
Yeah,
to have those nice people coming in.
We're
big. Make our night special, even though they're tipping or not. They make.
Oh, it makes them like you're just in a good mood the rest of the night.
Absolutely.
We're big sports fans, obviously, and I'll just leave there. So it was an injury to one of our favorite players, and he was at the restaurant. I get the phone call. I said, Carson, come on, let's go meet so and so. And introduced, and I get one of these handshakes, like
don't bother me, kind of thing.
And then I said to Carson, I said, you don't need to meet him.
Don't cry over it.
Yeah. But again, then we've met some celebrities that Lights Out, for instance, right? I mean,
Sean's amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
I mean, I just wanted to see the tattoo, right?
Yes.
You got a guy like Sean, and he's just like he's bear hugging at the end of the night, right?
Oh, when he gave me like the bro hug thing, it was just a rock. Bruises everywhere.
That is amazing. So again, and that's the fun part too. That makes it fun. And You know, there's some influencers out there, and you got to be Destroying. Destroying's amazing. He's great. He has his own syndicate.
I always love storytellers.
Oh God,
That's like
there's
the word of life.
There's a few of them, right? But yeah, no, the worst customer experience is the guys that you tend to forget, but you always remember that guy that's trying to take you down. And then I'll tell you what some of the best customer reactions are. It almost happens every night. When you say thank you and you appreciate persons coming in and spending money with you. And they have such a great time at some point. No, but the median answer is when someone comes up to us and whether shakes or thanks us, they're thanking us. Oh, thank you. And there are guys, to me, that's the high of hospitality. And when someone comes in, spends a bunch of money at your place, and they hug you for having such a great time, thank you. And it's the other way around, right? We're gracious. There's a lot of choices that they can make. That's truthfully, at the end of the day, that is the high of working in a fun venue, is having that appreciation.
And again, we go above and beyond to make them to meet the expectation that because they spend a lot of money.
And sometimes if we do miss, we've had some misses, and the recovery piece to me is super important. So I a lot of times. A lot of times I do that, and we've made some of our best customers through recovery, right? And that's an important part. If someone doesn't have a great experience, now I know the people that want to reach out to me and complain and that they want something for free versus somebody that had, if there was an issue, the recovery part and regaining their trust and asking for a second chance, right? Hell, I've asked for a lot of second chances, so I know it works, but a second chance is important. And that's created some of my best experiences when we have faulted and we made it better. So I like that.
Oh yeah. And now you're more wired to be like, I need to take better care, not only of these specific people in any specific instance, but also, I need to be better mentally with everybody moving forward.
100%.
Everybody walking our restaurant, they're all our VIPs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Whether it's apps and drinks or, the bottles and the T-bones, right? I mean, we don't denominate one way or the other, right?
So what does the menu look like at STK for those who don't go?
Again, I'd like to say it's vibe dining. That's their core mantra. And with that, it's your favorite. It's Longhorns with a DJ. How about that?
Yeah.
Right? It's an amazing steak. You got to lead with your food. So between the T-bones and the fillets, the seafood's amazing too, right? So, but it's a lunch, it's a brunch, it's a dinner. Again, I have my key favorites. I mean, again, I'm a creature of habit. You can't beat our cuts. The cuts of steak are amazing. The apps are great. So, not a big drinker, right? We've had our share.
Yeah.
Right. We've had our share, but you've got all your palettes of wines and everything of that nature. So, it's similar but different into ProteinHouse.
Of course.
Again, I'm a go-to. We have the kids and. Truthfully, it's why go to In-N-Out and why go to a fast food when we can curate a much better protein and a carbohydrate and a vegetable. So on the same structure, you lead with great food.
Because our schedule's so hectic, we do meal preps for the kids. We just pick it up and take it with us, and they can eat in the car.
You're a meal prep guy.
Of course.
Right. It's
so
just
that
easier.
works.
Yeah, meal prep from ProteinHouse.
Yeah,
literally, I was the guy. They're like, Jack's here. Here's his 4 bags.
Right.
It was nothing but like the bison burger and like the general.
There you go.
All the basic ones.
New sponsorship opportunity coming to
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. I eat it religiously.
Okay.
So, the second I saw ProteinHouse, we're reaching out to Cody.
Cool.
But I appreciate you guys so much for coming on today, taking time.
Well, thank you for having
It's almost
us.
3:15. You remember picking up the kids, right?
That's great.
Right?
Walk home today, right?
It's almost summer too. It might be summer. I don't know. Out here, summer starts in like February. Where like back east, it's still raining. My dad's like, it's 35 degrees here. What are you talking about?
We're shoveling snow.
Oh yeah.
We call that business decisions.
I'm privileged out here, right?
Business decisions.
But I appreciate you guys coming on. Where can we follow you guys on social media? Because that's what all the rage is these days.
Sure. Spell it out.
It's STK Scottsdale.
There you go.
STK_Scottsdale. Shameless plug mine is at Cody Starrett, the same name.
Yep.
We speak to all of the brands. My wife has her own IG, and you can follow her as needed, right? She'll blow up as she wants to, right? But again, our brands speak to our family, our business, and having a good time, right? You'll catch us at we travel and the kids and soccer games and whatnot. So ProteinHouse is at ProteinHouse AZ. But nonetheless, this wasn't about, getting more followers to that page. It was really just aligning with, I love your messaging too. I mean, I love your content and what you speak to, right? It's really engaging.
I appreciate that, guys. And I wish you guys both the best of luck on game 3 or 4 of the series with the C's. It's your only ticket to TD Garden, I think they'll win at least one. I think they'll get there. That's all you need is the experience, Keep Carson happy.
There you go.
TD Garden. He's in that culture in downtown Boston, which is incredible. Jimmy Butler. It's like one of these,
right? I don't know about that. Look at you. What are you
I'm not even an NBA guy. I interviewed Magic Johnson, and it's like I'm not even an NBA guy, but it's like I'll watch, Like, and growing up there, the Celtics, Taco, is he still on the team?
No, Taco's on the team. You're aging yourself, right?
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up before I start losing all credibility. But this was episode 697 of the podcast, guys. Remember to head on over to osnap.com/Jack O'Hara to receive your free packets. Try them today. Get your boost of energy and get wired like I am right now. Thank you so much to Logan Walton and the gang here at the Hot Chick in Old Town Scottsdale. If you ever want to get a T-bone with me in town, you know who to find.
STK, right?
But this was episode 697. Check it out, guys.
Thank you.